What's up, dude? What in the world are you taking your morning jog?
No, you know what I'm doing is, let me show you this. How do you how do you flip it around?
It's
Oh,
usually
here it
like,
is.
yeah.
I've never I've never done this. I'm doing a concrete job, but here's why. The My buddy and I, when the lockdown was in process,
Uh-huh.
we just I couldn't play music. Nobody could play music,
Yeah.
nobody could do anything. So we started a concrete company, and since after everything opened up, I've been playing on Broadway and everything here in Nashville, and he kept his concrete company going. Anyways, he needs a break from his wife, and so he's like, "Dude, come help me with this job today." And all the proceeds of this job go to our Bahamas trip, courtesy of Dale Joy Concrete. So that's what I'm doing.
Have you always like how did concrete come into the picture? Because have you like why concrete? Why not, what is it about concrete?
It was really him. We're both actually from the same town in Montana. And
Mhm.
like I've known him, I'm older than he is, but I've known him since we were kids.
Mhm.
And he did concrete in Kalispell back home. And I've been in the construction. Also, when you're from Montana, you just know how to do stuff. Like you just know how to be a contractor, it seems like somehow. It's just like part of it's part of your Montana card. Where are you from?
I am from Mississippi.
Nice.
Not very exciting at all.
My response was nice.
Nice. Yeah.
I've just never been. I don't know much about it. I
Not missing
played
much.
ball. I played baseball with some guys from Mississippi. That's all I know about it. And they could also play guitar, I remember.
So you mentioned you're from Montana. Are you from like a ranch family, a country family like that, or is it kind of like the city of Montana?
Not really. I mean, Montana doesn't even have a city, really.
Yeah.
But I'm from Kalispell, and so have you ever heard of Glacier National Park?
Yes.
Right out by the Canadian border. Like I'm basically an honorary Canadian.
Gotcha.
So a beautiful spot. And my dad is like, he was raised in Texas, and he met my mom, who's from Montana. So not rancherish at all. And my dad's like a sales guy. And so no, yeah, basically the town of Kalispell. And yeah, we were pretty citified folk, you would say.
But so when you were growing up, your mom was from Montana. Was she part of that? What was her background? Because you mentioned your dad was in sales. Was
Hmm.
she kind of part of the farming place? Was she kind of citified as well?
No, good question. Not citified at all. Because my grandpa was a logger. So I come from
Okay.
like a logging family. So we were like, I spent my childhood going up to my grandpa's logging camps and fly fishing and yeah. And my grandpa, I need to mention, is 1978 and 79 all around Montana State logging champion. So I always try and mention that.
Whoa, what does that mean? Like, did he do like a logging
Logging.
competition? I understand what a lot
Yeah,
what it was. He's a logger. I understand. He takes
yeah.
trees, and I understand that. We have those here. We have a logging company here. What is a
Yeah,
logging champion? Is it like a rodeo for loggers?
exactly. So you've seen like
Okay.
the axe throw. Everybody knows the axe
Yeah.
throw because there's like
Right. Right.
axe throw bars now. And then there's like, how fast can you shimmy up the log? And there's like, actually, my
Oh, I
buddy
got you.
Dale, yeah, and how the saw one, and then the balance one where you're,
Kind of like a lumberjack.
in the water, 100% lumberjack. Yeah. In fact, I think that's what they call it. I've never done it, but the lumberjack competitions, they're terrific.
So is your grandpa a jacked up big guy, like looking like an actual lumberjack, or is he like just
Oh
a
yeah,
bean pole?
100% jacked up.
Really?
Like but not ripped, but his like hands and forearms were just like clubs, you know?
Ooh,
So
yeah.
he was famous. He was known as a woods boss, and oh, good, the sun's out, man. So he was known as, he was famous for running. He was the only guy that would run a 2-man saw, like made for 2 men, as like 1 man. He was the only 1 man to run a 2-man saw in camp or in the whole company. It's
So he
just a
could.
badass.
So he was strong enough to take one side and saw it for a saw for 2 people, basically.
No, it was it was the electric chainsaw, like
Oh,
the
okay.
actual chainsaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the big ass chainsaw. And they got like 2 handles, for 2 dudes, and he would just man it. If I am half the man my grandpa was, I will be succeeding. Just a freaking man.
He's still around?
No, passed away 4 or 5 years ago. I think 5 years ago. Yeah, because I moved here 5 years ago. So he passed right before I moved. Yeah. Grandpa George.
Grandpa George.
It's important to honor the memory of those, especially Grandpa George.
That's kind of cool though, because all my grandparents, they built houses for a living, or they were no good. So it's always cool to witness somebody that had, especially a lumberjack. That's just kind of bottom line cool. So
I know, that's why I always say it. Like, if Grandpa ever comes up, I'm always like, oh yeah, 78, 79, back-to-back logging champion. It's like programmed response because it's badass.
Man, there has been a lot of what is the one thing that you have been, news wise been focused on for the past however long it's been going on? Is there anything interesting that catches your eye?
Do you mean in the whole climate of what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, the vaccine, 100%.
Really?
Focus on researching, watching videos all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
What
about you?
Are you vaccinated?
I don't want to.
Okay. I got you.
I want the interview to go well, but that being said, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not
Are you?
I'm not a political show, but yeah, I mean, I did because it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, and that's
COVID
the thing.
COVID scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm not a judger. Like,
yeah,
I'm 100% like, if I'm a freedom fighter, I'm pro freedom. Like, if you want to get it, awesome. Like,
100%.
I'm not judging you at all. Like,
yeah,
like it's each of you said it, fear. So it's your risk versus reward or benefit that each of us should run through, not be told. And that's my issue with it,
Well, yeah, that's what mine has been that Alec Baldwin thing where he was on the movie set and he shot and killed that lady. Man, that was people kill me, man. They are talking bad about Alec Baldwin. He shouldn't have had the gun to begin. He was filming an effing movie.
He's filming a movie.
It went off. If anybody's fault, it's the guy, the prop, whoever the
prop guy,
100%. Because Alec Baldwin mentioned that he threw it to him and said, "Hey, cold gun," which means there's nothing in it. It's blank, whatever.
So he lied to him. I mean, he lied to him. It's his fault.
I don't know the whole story. I don't know if he lied to him, but something had to have happened to where they were using the gun and supposedly they had real bullets. I don't know, but I mean, Alec Baldwin is facing this big backlash for no reason. It's because people want to be, I heard somebody say the other day, he's a gun, he's anti-gun. Why is he holding a gun in a movie? And I'm like, well, first off, it's a movie. He's an actor.
Yeah.
It's a Western.
Yeah.
How else do you expect to take these cowboys down?
I know. I agree. I'm pro gun, but I 100% agree with you. Like, that's how politics are. And especially the media, it just gets things like that. The spin on it is ridiculous. It's nice when people can like you just reason it out and like, okay, what was the process here? Some guy gave him the gun and either was negligent in checking it or just set it up. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm sure he's upset about it.
I could tell you right now how this would work. I have these headphones on. You have Apple headphones in. I could say, oh, I like Apple headphones better than these headphones. Boom. That gets out to the wrong hands. It's obviously already political. People that wear that, they're for this person. And it's like, not everything is politics, brother. I mean, in the world it is, it's all comes down to politics, but it's like, you don't have to make everything political. Stop that.
No, it's like, in my mind, there's like two different mindsets. It's like political or be a real human, like actual human thought. Yeah. like be real.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you get a politician that knows how to be real, which rarely happens, especially if they're in office for a significant amount of time, because inevitably they're in bed with some corporation because they have to be to fund their campaign.
There is not one politician that has ever taken the stage, is in the House now, that is real or has been truthful. I mean, everybody, they all lie just to get elected. I mean,
both sides.
Right. They're like, we're going to do this. And then it's crazy. It's both sides. It's not one. It's not Democrat. It's not Republican. It's both. They're both going to be like, hey, look, we're going to do this. And then they didn't do it. And it's like, are you surprised? Are you shocked?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, are you in Nashville right now?
Yeah. Just north.
Did you
in the town of Greenbrier?
You said you moved out there 5 years ago. What was what was that journey like? Obviously you were probably a little frightened, a little scared because you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I have a huge comfort zone though.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means I wasn't scared at all. Okay. I just do stuff. I mean, in my younger years, not that I'm old, but when I was younger, like college age, coming out of high school, I was definitely scared, but geez, since then, I don't know. I do like the adventure. So I was in Boise, Idaho before this, and I played I started a band. I was managing my college baseball coach's, his baseball academy. It's called the Idaho Cubs. And I just thought I should start a band before I die. Otherwise I'd regret it. So I started one up, and then I played the songwriter. I've always written songs my whole life. And I was in this songwriter showcase in Boise, Idaho. And the guy who put it on he goes by the name of Gary Tackett. And turned out he was Billy Currington's first lead guitar player and tour manager. And so I played a few songs. He's like, whoa, man, are those yours? I was like, yeah, it's a songwriter's showcase, you idiot. And he's like, wow. He's like, if you want a chance at getting these published, like, what are you doing here? You have to go to Nashville. So I literally just packed up my car. Three weeks later, I just drove to Nashville and totally did not have a plan. Like, no money, especially, it costs money to move. So any money I had was just moving costs kind of, and just no plan, just showed up and ended up crashing at, a friend's sister's house. Just random. So yeah, that was the start of it.
What did you do for a living?
And so nothing for a minute. It didn't take me very long. So a couple weeks in, I hopped on board with the baseball academy down in Brentwood, south of where all the loaded musicians live, and producers, everybody. So hopped on with the baseball academy down there and started that. I was basically the janitor at first, which is humbling. but and then I got it back into teaching lessons, which is luck. I'm lucky to be able to do that because you can make some good money. And then only about a month or two after that, I was out with a girl, and I was at Rippy's bar across from Bridgestone Arena and Tootsie's right there.
Mhm.
Have you been to Nash? You've been to Nash, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
But
okay.
I know where
So
all that
yeah,
stuff is though. So yeah, I've studied it.
yeah, yes, good. So like kitty corner from Bridgestone,
Mhm.
or right across the street is Rippy's, and then across the street is Tootsie's. And anyways, I was dancing with this girl, and the lead singer Jarod Ames, he's like kept calling me Tiny Dancer. I was like, well, and then in Nashville we're working out of a tip jug, so we're always asking for requests, and so he kept asking for requests. I was like, well, if you're gonna talk smack, why don't you play Tiny Dancer? And he wouldn't do it. So finally he got angry and said, you come do it. So I hopped up and sang, and the drummer was just a sweet lady from South Dakota named Anita Hill, and she does a lot of the booking at and runs the auditions at Tootsie's. So after I got up, she's like, oh, come in on Saturday and you'll have yourself a job. So that right then I started working for Tootsie's. In fact, so I came that following Saturday. Tootsie's has open auditions every Saturday, 2 to 6. Like people from, Tootsie's is world famous. So people from across the world it's chock full. And so I hopped up, got hired on the spot, and then started Sunday morning, and then just started playing 5 to 7 days a week, acoustic shifts in the morning at Tootsie's. So that was 4 or 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I think. And so, yeah, I did the Tootsie circuit, and then that's how I made money at first.
So morning shift versus night shift at Tootsie's. Obviously there's a big difference because a lot of more people are there at night. They're experiencing the nightlife. What's the big difference between playing in the mornings and the night?
Mornings are not always, but mostly acoustic. And I'm just like a acoustic head. Like,
okay,
I'd rather see a guy like a guy just with his acoustic guitar singing and playing, because it's like just the raw, it's your voice, your songs, and your guitar playing. And so yeah, morning stuff is just more like acoustic, more, everyone uses the word intimate, which is a good word, and at least with Tootsie's, we always shared the stage with 2 other guys. So usually there's 3 musicians, 3 acoustics, and we just take turns playing songs and harmonize and play lead along with each other and stuff. And the night is always a band shift at Tootsie's, and always packed because it's Tootsie's. So yeah, just crazy drunkenness at night. And during the day, it's just people, nursing their hangover, hair of the dog, rehydrating, and older crowd too, usually. So I did the band shifts for a while, and honestly, I didn't get into it. Mostly because I'm a songwriter and at heart, and so the morning shifts, I just was able to play my originals more often, not all the time, but more often. And even the songs, if you play with a band, you're kind of locked into how the song actually goes. And I'm not really a stickler for details on that side of things. I just like to put my own spin on things and sort of ad lib, and whatever comes out. So that's fun for me too, is to have an acoustic guitar and play whatever songs requested in my own style, and that's not happening with the band at all.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you done songwriting for a long time before you moved into Nashville. When did you realize that your songs were getting somewhat okay to start performing them?
That's a great way to put it. I think probably because in college I'd play songs I'd written, and I never thought they were, I don't know, I got some good validation in college. People are like, yeah, good song. But I just never, I don't know, even to this day, I think I've never really written a song that I'm like, I think is awesome. But I would say the biggest validation on that front was I entered in what's called the Colgate Country Showdown. I think now it's called the Texaco Country Showdown. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a nationwide songwriting competition. So up in Kalispell, they're in every state, you know, all across the nation. And you do they have local auditions, and then they do a state competition, and then you go to regionals. Garth Brooks is famous for either winning it or being a semifinalist or something.
Okay.
In this. And so, so I entered that, and our chapter of the showdown in Kalispell is the largest one in the nation. So they do over 500 people came and auditioned, and then they rent out the Majestic Valley Arena, which is the biggest venue, which is not very big. And and they do a final 25, and they actually do 2 nights of it because there's 25 finalists, and there's 4,000 people that show up. So I won that, which was pretty exciting because I was just just doing songwriting for fun, just because I enjoyed it. So that was cool. And I went on to state and then lost at state. I actually lost to a guy. He didn't have his right arm. He had no right arm. And he had a claw, and he taped a guitar pick to his claw and played.
Wow.
I had no chance of beating that guy. And he was good, though. I mean, he was legit good, too. So I think at that point, I was like, hey, maybe I could do this, for more than a hobby,
Yeah, I got it. Well, I want to play your song Tiki Bar on a Beach real quick. Here we go. Here's a little bit of that.
You could find me way down south at the Tiki Bar on the beach. Music playing in the background, all the waves in the wind and the palm trees. If you want, you could come on down and live life like a breeze at the Tiki Bar on the beach.
All right. So, are you a fan of tiki bars on beaches? And if so, where the heck did you find a tiki bar on a beach in Montana?
You do not. We don't even have a beach.
That was my point.
I know you're totally on point because this doesn't make any sense. I'm from Montana. I'm literally obsessed with beaches. Although we do have Flathead Lake, which is the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi. She's a beaut. But even on there's not a beach. There's a half. There's a half-ass. It's sort of a beach, but I wouldn't even call it a beach. No, I'm just a hot weather guy.
Really?
Maybe it's just growing sick of the 8 month long winters in Kalispell, just that lasts forever. But my dream has literally always been to own a house on a beach, and that's what the song's about. So I wrote this one right after I moved to Nashville, and it's literally about and I had on my mind, I just took a major leap to pursue a dream of mine, music. So that was on my mind. So I was kind of writing about chasing your dreams. That was kind of I wasn't even sitting down to write. It was kind of just a songwriting exercise to get back into it. And it turned into this song. And so it's just about my dream of owning a house on a beach, probably in Florida. I don't know. We could go Bahamas. Depends on how much I could sell these songs for. You could literally find me at the nearest tiki bar pretty much every day.
Now, was this your first?
So that's one of my dreams.
Was this your first music video to film? Or
yes.
Now, that looks like a pretty expensive, pretty regular looking music video. Besides, because a lot of people, if that's their first music video, it would look like you basically filmed it on a camcorder. Just the normal, cheap, not very expensive stuff. How did you? I don't want to know your finances, but kind of how did the video come together and be kind of so expensive to create for your first one?
Yeah, no, it cost about $8,000, that video. That's not, and it was a good production. I was pretty lucky to have met a guy who is my label. It's called my label's called Lots to Do, just a small label. But I happened to meet this guy we have the same, he's an artist as well. His name is Tom Sexton. And actually he's cut 3 of my songs, and actually he's cut more than 3. He's cut. And so that was kind of our arrangement. He initially asked me if he could cut some of my songs, and that he had heard through our same vocal coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so he cut a few songs, and then ended up forming his own label, and then picked me up. And so that's where my financing comes from, is Mr. Tom Sexton. And actually right now he cut one of my songs called The Best Night. Right now it is number 52 on the Billboard chart, which is very good. I'm excited for him.
Wow, that's kind of cool. 52. That's
anything that makes a Billboard is getting some spins.
Right. At
Like
least a little bit.
That's the chart. At least a little bit, yeah.
So this video has over 100,000 views. Kind of, I know it's kind of a loaded question, but what was the process of, putting this out there and saying, hey, watch this video in order for it to get 100,000 views? It has to be a lot of word of mouth or something.
Yeah, I don't really know. I was just talking about that with my dad. Like, what makes stuff take off? I don't know. I wish if I knew, I think I'd feel like this next one, which is coming out this Friday.
Yeah.
Would for sure do that. Maybe I'd have a formula or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a techie guy, and I have a degree in business, but I still somehow know nothing about marketing, especially social media marketing. I do know if you're an attractive female, you're gonna go viral. So I do know that.
And that's pretty much what happened in that video, right?
Oh yeah. And I don't know if you've seen a clip of the next one, but oh man, the next one, we just found this great gal. She's a pro dancer here in Nashville. Her name's Kimberly. I think it's Janacek is her last name. And anyway, she was our main character for this next one. Total babe and great dancer. Terrific dancer.
Who was that blonde chick in the Tiki bar on the beach?
So her name's Kayla, and she was just the videographer and director that his company found her. They kind of have a group. It works, up here in Nashville. I've noticed the videographers and the studios like that. They kind of use casting crews and
right.
But down in Florida, it's more like a Facebook community of actors, and I think that's how it happens in more non-commercial places like outside of New York, LA, and maybe Nashville.
I was watching it before we jumped on here, and I was like, Jarod's a good-looking guy, but she is way too. I was like, but she's way too good looking for anybody. So I was like,
including me.
Right, that's where I was going with this. I was like, he's a good-looking guy, but
100%.
But
100%.
She's at least a 9.5, 10. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Crazy.
That being said, Kayla and I, the day after the shoot, we did spend the day at the beach drinking tequilas, which was lovely.
Oh yeah, you got to know her real well, huh? Oh, no comment on that. Just a shrug of the shoulder.
I don't. We're friends.
I got you.
She's a great gal.
I'm messing around with you, Jarod.
I love it.
Before we jump off here, man, I want to talk about this new single that you got coming out at the time we're recording, the 29th of October. So I've heard it. Your I don't remember who your manager, somebody sent it to me when we got you on here, and
the PR team, yeah.
PR team, yeah. It's pretty catchy. So where are you coming up with all these catchy rhythms? Like, are you working with other people? Are you doing it by yourself?
No, I'm a solo. I'm a lone wolf.
Okay.
Co-writing's a big deal here in Nashville, and I know why, for multiple reasons. And one of the reasons is just I like to think of like I don't know how you feel about Old Dominion. I'm a huge fan of these guys. I think they're great. Old Dominion and Shane McAnally, like
Yeah,
those
they write together
4 or
all the
5
time.
guys. Yeah, that's how, they moved to Nashville. They met each other, and it was like, yeah, that was their crew, And so I know why, because it's like a rising tide raises all ships, right? Like you can network with each other, and you're more powerful as a team that way. But I don't know. I just don't like sharing my ideas. John Mayer said it once. He's like, when asked about co-writing,
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of selfish that way. But I don't know that I'm selfish. I just, I kind of have my own process that I go through. I mean, on this particular one, it was my sister's idea. She called me and she's like, hey, I just realized something. Like when I drink, rum, I go completely, I'm crazy. Like I just have a crazy night. And my sister, she's a doctor of the piano. Incredible. And so she's a professor. She just moved here to Tennessee. She's a professor at Vol State. And she's also a booze hound. So it's hilarious. And so she called me with that thought. And she gave another example of when she drinks wine, she just like, it's like a truth serum that spills her guts. So that got me thinking about other girls I'd hung out with. So that's how I put together what she's drinking on based on, how we act. And so, but my process is just the same as I hear from a lot of other artists, just like that idea from my sister would go in my notepad. I might sing something terrible into my voice recorder, and then I'll sit down and I'll set a clock for like 20 minutes and just bang out the song idea. And if it's any good, I'll keep writing it. If it's not good, I'll just trash it. So I go through hundreds of these when I'm in writing mode, of these just 20-minute song ideas.
What, in your opinion, so far, the year 2021, what has been the best album that you have listened to currently?
Here, I'll preface this with this, is that I am honestly not I've never been a big music listener. Like I don't just sit down and listen to music. I always listen in passing. I do though. I have friends that are, and they send me awesome songs all the time. And especially lately, I learn new songs from getting song requests, playing downtown Nashville. And so, that being said, I have to go with Morgan Wallen's album, just because
I was
go ahead.
I was going to say that. I was like, very controversial pick, but I have to go Morgan Wallen, the double album. That shit, I'm not lying, Jarod, that shit is amazing. It from beginning to all 30 whatever songs there are absolutely fantastic. It's crazy to me.
Like, how do you put together, like usually we're putting out 1 or 2 hits on an album and the rest are just, here's me as an artist putting out some song. No, they're all good.
They are all, yes.
I always call him, I call him the Eminem of country music because of how he fits his melodies in. It's so unique that nobody does it like that. I mean, it's very innovative, and it's, I have to go with it.
I mean, he got kicked off his record label, and it is still killing the charts. It is still selling every week.
What does that tell you?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, even though he's even killing on TikTok with those little acoustics that he's doing, and I'm like,
I know,
bro, like he did.
I love
song.
him. I always watch him.
I do too. I love Morgan Wallen. I'm one of those Morgan Wallen lovers. For some weird reason, Morgan Wallen has always been at the top of my mind whenever I'm listening to music, and I'm like, I need to listen to a new album because I do this thing every year, and I do the best of albums of the year. And I'm like, I got to listen to the albums.
Oh, cool.
But then I always find myself going back to the Morgan Wallen or even the new Danny Shea album. And I'm like, it is phenomenal.
With you on that too. Majorly. Yep.
The Danny Shea album was great. I was not a fan of their previous album. I didn't think it was that good, but this one, for some reason, they killed it with those 10 tracks, man. It was great.
Oh yeah. Yep. 100% agree. 100%.
I always take dark turns in these podcasts. So I want to know, what is one conspiracy theory that you believe in? Or you're like, or not necessarily believe in, but you're like, okay, this does make sense a little bit.
I mean, okay, let's see. This is where you got to decide, what do I want to put out there in the public? But
I put everything out. I don't care.
I love that. Let me preface my statement with this, is that I acknowledge that this is a theory, and I could be completely wrong about this.
Everybody could be wrong. I mean, it's a theory.
Uh-huh.
You're never going to know any of this. You're never going to know any of this. So
no, the only way to know, and I swear I would do this if I was a billionaire, like us talking about a theory, whatever theory comes out, I swear I would spend money and research and investigate these theories. I would too. And then the question is, like, what do you do with this information? I have a feeling you have a podcast, so you would probably get it out there. I bet.
I would get it out there. Yeah.
Anyway, I do think that Michael Jackson is still alive.
Did you see the video of him jumping out of the ambulance?
No.
Have you seen that?
See this.
Hang on, let me see if I can find it real quick while we talk about this. But what makes you think that he's still alive while I look this up?
It's the Dave interview on David Letterman. Did you see that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, look that up. You got to look it up.
What did he say?
David Letterman interview. Oh, okay. So he said it's this guy, and his name was, I'm not kidding, Dave, like a double name, like okay. Dave.
Uh-huh.
The first name and last name, same name. And he was a burn victim, and he did talk in a high pitched, Michael Jackson voice, and he claimed to have he claimed that Michael Jackson had paid, like he was abused as a child by his dad, and he was burned by his dad, and so Michael Jackson paid for all his surgeries.
Wow.
and kept him alive basically his whole life. And I think that was Michael Jackson himself.
All right, Jarod, I have the video. Just 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, watch this.
Okay.
There's no video, there's no sound to it. So watch. Here we go.
I got it.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but watch this. Tell me this is not Michael Jackson coming out of this corner van that just pulled out of his house.
Same body shape.
Same 100%. Body shape. Same body shape. I'm going to go back. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh,
bro, I'm telling
snap.
You, man. I'm telling you, man. There is something up with that Michael Jackson thing. I used to think for the longest time Elvis was still alive. I don't think that anymore because all my questions were answered. But the Michael Jackson, that is still that's still a creepy thing to me because
yeah.
But for me, the one conspiracy that I would believe in,
goosebumps.
Especially with that video I just showed you, I was like, man, there's no way. But one conspiracy that I believe in 100%, Jarod, is we did not land on the moon in 1969.
Really?
I think that because it was the space race. It was Russia versus us. Who could get to the moon first? Now, I'm not going to go in too much detail because it's just crazy. I could be here all day. But think about it. If you look at the stars, and when it does this pan around, there's 6 stars here, 6 stars here, 6 and 6. If you're in fucking space, you're telling me there's only 6 stars that are the same lineup in each portion of the circle? And then of course the
Okay,
flag, and then the flag flying like there's a breeze on the moon and some shit like that.
I've seen that one. Now, back me up on the 6 stars thing again. Explain that to me further.
Well, I'm saying 6. There was a certain number of stars, right? When you're watching it, when you're watching the moon landing, Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, then it's going to turn to the right as they're walking. It's the same pattern of stars on each.
I got you. It's the same pattern.
It's the same pattern, and I'm like,
when they filmed
if you're in outer space, there's stars everywhere. So why would there be the same pattern? Could it be a coincidence?
There wouldn't be.
Sure, but there would be everywhere. There wouldn't just be a certain pattern.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. After we get done, I'm definitely gonna have to research that.
I mean,
Can I throw?
Sure, go ahead. If you got another one, throw it out there.
Another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because we were talking about Paul McCartney. Have you looked into that one at all? I was actually my label guy, Tom Sexton, introduced me to this. That Paul McCartney. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know 100% what you're talking about. I want to get Tom.
Yeah, okay.
If Tom introduced you to this, I want to get Tom Sexton on the podcast and we'll do just a whole episode about Paul is Dead, because I think that would be fantastic.
Oh, he would love it. And here's the thing about Tom is he studied acting in LA for 10 years, his first 10 years out of college, and specifically comedy. So the guy's hilarious. Okay. He would love it. You would die. He's just a character. It's hilarious.
We'll get together and I'll have you send me his information and I'll get in touch with him after the podcast.
That'd be super cool.
But yes, the Paul is Dead is very interesting. But here's where I stand with it. Could it just be a regular conspiracy that the Beatles grabbed hold of? They knew it was happening, so they said, you know what? We're gonna fuck with our audience. We're gonna screw with our audience, and we're gonna put Paul is Dead into every song we can. Could that be a possibility, though? Yes,
100%.
But it does make sense that on one of the album covers, that looks like they're looking down into a casket or a grave, and then, Abbey Road. I'm looking at I have an Abbey Road poster. I'm looking at it, and he's the only one barefoot for some reason.
It's so crazy. This stuff always gives me goosebumps. But again, I would love if I had. I mean, you and I are busy making a living, but if I was not busy making a living and I had the dough, I would 100% spend my time researching and proving or disproving these theories. It would be incredible.
It's kind of like the Avril Lavigne conspiracy. You heard that one where she died after Skater Boy and all that came out. Now this is just a lookalike that the media got. And I'm like, you can't say every artist has died and has come back as a whatever. But
that's so funny. It's a great marketing plan, apparently.
Great marketing plan. And it happens to work because it gets word around and you're like, wow, let me go listen to Avril Lavigne's old stuff versus her new stuff. And you're going to listen. And you're going to be like, yeah. And then obviously there's no difference, but you could be like, I can hear a difference. Does this sound like her voice? And there's no difference. But that thing's got your mind warped.
I mean, what's fresher is the Joe Biden one as well. What Donald Trump? I don't know. Something's different about Joe.
What's the Joe Biden conspiracy? I don't think I know this.
Same thing. It's a different guy now.
Oh, okay. Or that
it's floating around there.
Or that Hillary Clinton's a lizard person and that stupid shit.
I don't know about the lizard one.
I
saw one about like Joe Biden's earlobes are different and stuff like that. It's out there. I'm not sure about the lizard.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that shit. That's stupid.
Ever since the movie, did you ever see the movie Dave?
Days?
It's an old movie. It's just specifically about that. Like the president's name is Dave. I don't know his last name. Chappelle, maybe. No, just Dave. And he goes down with an illness. And so they put another lookalike in there.
Wow.
It just gets the wheels turning,
Well, let me ask you this and we'll close this down.
Okay.
I was listening to a podcast. For some reason, I love listening to freaky podcasts, and it always freaks me out. And I'm always looking behind my shoulders, making sure nobody's there. But I was listening to an episode, just finished it this morning, and it's about the Bohemian Grove. Are you familiar with that?
It does ring a bell, but I don't know.
You need to look into the Bohemian Grove. This crap is freaky. It happens in a certain wooded part of California. And all these hierarchs, like actors, bigger celebrities, presidents, former secretaries, all these people are going into this seance. And there's video proof of all these people that have been there.
Okay.
And it's like they worship this giant owl, and they like sacrifice kids, and they sacrifice it's absolutely.
That's where I've heard of it. I've heard of the owl, and the owl has a name. I can't remember what it was.
I can't either.
It was
but
like,
yes,
yeah. I know what you're talking. I just heard about this.
It's absolutely fucking terrifying. It is terrifying, and I'm like, what? Because
it makes me nervous just talking about it, right?
Because you don't know, you don't know what they're doing. Could they be planning to? Apparently, it's been going on since 1890 or something like that, 1900. So, ooh.
Oh, you know what? I just watched a little bit of it. Was Queen Elizabeth started this, the first Queen Elizabeth in 1500s. That's when it started. That's what I heard. And she
Really?
had, I can't remember the significance of the owl. Yeah, I just saw something on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't either.
Anyways, that's all I can get into. But that's why it rung a bell. Is because I saw that Queen Elizabeth started that. Anyways,
but
I will be. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that crap is creepy. I don't even want to look that stuff up on my computer because they could be like, they could bust in my door. You're going to jail. Oh shit! All right, I'm sorry.
Immediately.
Yeah,
I want in. Or wait.
Well,
either you're with us or you're.
Apparently, the waiting list is like 45 yees to just get into this, just to even be thought about entering the Bohemian Grove. Ugh.
Wow. It's exclusive. I don't know any other sort of organization that it takes 45 years to get in.
Right. Well, Jarod,
so it must be a big deal.
I know this music podcast took a whole deep, dark turn, but I love it because nobody expects it to do this. But appreciate you being on for this hour 50 or this 50 minutes that we've been going. Go ahead and take as much time as you want and promote anything that you want to promote.
Oh, it's not going to be much. I have What She's Drinking On, my music video, number 2, the second song on my EP coming out this Friday, or it'll be this Thursday at midnight. So check it out on YouTube and Spotify, all the streaming services. And it's been playing on country radio now for, I think, 2.5 weeks or something. And as of now, it is I'm going to say, I just got the report. I think it's number 14 on the World Independent Music Charts. So Tiki Bar made it to number 3 on that chart. And anyway, check it out. What She's Drinking On this Friday, YouTube's, Spotify's, etc.
All right, Jarod. Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, Dylan.